Learn a little more about the Home Base program. It's a Red Sox Foundation of Massachusetts General Hospital program focused on healing the invisible wounds of war. Home Base was inspired by the Red Sox' second visit to Walter Reed Army Medical Hospital after they were honored at the White House for winning the 2007 World Series. The Run to Home Base, the major fundraiser for the Home Base program. Every year, Chairman Tom Warner creating the Home Base program back in 2009, and this summer, July 15th, will be the 8th annual Run to Home Base. And joining us now up in our booth is Sarah Cox, originally from Taunton, Mass, right?
Yes, sir.
But like a lot of smart people, you've moved to Florida.
Nice and warm.
Yeah, it's snowing back home today, so
It is.
this is a reminder that you made the right choice. After multiple deployments, you came back and started to realize that you weren't the same person.
Right.
How much did Home Base help you get back to the person you were?
Well, I'm here with you, you people at a baseball game. Crowds were not a thing. So what the Home Base program does is remind you who you were before whatever trauma you endured happened. And they got me here to a baseball game, so I'm grateful for that.
And I know it's a hard thing, and Tim, you were very much involved in the initial, I remember you doing the commercial to sort of get that word out. And 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that was almost unheard of, right?
Oh, right.
You came back, you're a soldier. You're used to giving help, not asking for help. How
Absolutely.
hard was it to finally make that decision that, you know what, I am going to be willing to accept this?
It took years.
Yeah.
I've been out, actually, today, 11 years ago, is when I signed on the dotted line to join, and also I got out in 2010 on March 10th. So it took me about 4.5, 5 years to even be brave enough to say, okay, there might be something wrong. The stigma is still there, but it's lifting, and programs like Home Base help make that disappear, and it allows veterans to get the help they need without feeling ashamed and embarrassed.
That's the hard part. The first step is asking for help. Is as a veteran, a soldier, you don't want to do that, and especially. It's the last thing you want to do is ask for help. But once you get there and realize there's people like yourselves that are going through the same problem, and that's one thing that, I witnessed there is the camaraderie as a soldier,
yes.
Whether you're in the Air Force. And when you come home, you don't have that camaraderie anymore. You don't have your brothers and sisters standing by your side the whole time. So it's kind of lonely at home. So you're going through your PTSD, your symptoms, and you know in your head something's wrong, but you don't want to reach out for help. And when you get to Home Base, you realize there's other people like you that you can share stories with and kind of communicate with, and it makes you feel a lot better.
It does.
That you're not the only one.
And it's the staff too.
The staff.
It's the staff makes you feel right at home. You don't feel judged. As soon as you walk in the door, you're welcome.
Right.
And most of the people that work there are veterans themselves and know what it's like. So you have that instant bond. And I still talk to the people I went through the program with on a daily basis, because you get close really quick in this short amount of time, and you deal with a lot, so you do build that bond, and it's nice to have again. It's really nice.
And because we're all different as people, all people react differently to PTSD too, so it's a hard thing to understand, it's a hard thing to go through, and it's a hard thing to treat too, because they're not sure exactly what to do for each person to make them feel better.
Right, and that's what we realized when we were there. We were all there for the same reason. We all had PTSD, but we all had a different journey to get to that point. But you start talking to people and they might be, oh, well, I wasn't a germaphobe before, but now I am. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, I might be a germaphobe too now. So you laugh about it now, but you find these things you have in common that you thought it was just you. Like, I'm the only one that is this way. And then when you meet these people in the program, you're like, okay, it's not just me.
What were the symptoms that you went through that made you realize that something might be different when you got home?
It was a lot. The constantly being on guard out anywhere. Even getting in my car, I was a driver in Iraq, so driving was not pleasant at all. And then I had a lot of insomnia. I wasn't sleeping at all, and the nightmares, flashbacks. For me, a lot of smells triggered symptoms for me, which sounds odd, but apparently I'm not the only one.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I've heard the same story.
So it's just that the on-guard feeling all the time, I think, is the worst one, where you never feel safe, and it doesn't matter where you are, who you're with.
The Run to Home Base, which I mentioned before, is the major fundraiser. Your mom actually ran it, right?
Yes, back in 2011.
It's an amazing event.
It is. Yeah, we all went. She raised a lot of money, and at the time, she wanted me to go to Home Base, and I was like, no. There's no reason
So
for me
when
to.
she ran it in 2011, you hadn't yet decided to.
Oh, I was against it. I was so against it.
She
I
went
didn't
ahead
need
and ran it.
She did it anyways, and she knew. She told me, she's like, you will go through this one day, and I did. Took a while. 2015, I completed the program in June, and we did the run here at JetBlue Park back in January. We all did it together. We did the walk because I'm not running anywhere anytime fast, but we did that, and then we plan to support in one way or another the run in Boston, July 15th.
I want you to, any veteran who might be watching, anyone who is where you were in 2011, not yet willing, why should they make that step? Why should they reach out and look into this option?
You should want your life back. I mean, that's what it comes down to, bottom line. To lose yourself doing something that makes you proud. I mean, I'm proud to serve my country. I would do it all over again with the same outcome. You have to ask for help. Get it over with, do it, bite the bullet, whatever you want to call it, do it, get help, and get your life back. Come to a baseball game again. You know,
yeah, which is obviously a huge step for you. With my experience with some of the wounded veterans, you know, at the fantasy camp, and they brought a bunch of guys down to play, and they all loved baseball. They all loved the Red Sox. It was something that they were really excited to do. And they said, hey, I had one of my best days of my life today, getting to spend this day with you guys playing baseball. Tomorrow morning when I wake up, someone will have to talk me in to going back, even though I had the greatest time. But I'll wake up in the morning and I won't be sure, and I won't want to walk out that front door. And he can't even explain it to himself, let alone try to explain it to anyone else to get help.
I had excuses why I wasn't coming tonight. I had a whole handful of them. The second I was told or asked to come, I was like, oh yeah, sure. And then in my head I'm like, oh no, I have to do this, or I might have to do this, or, you know, I was already thinking of excuses. But home base has taught me it's okay. You can have those feelings. They taught me how to sort them out, and I'm here.
Well, we are so glad you
here.
made it here.
Yes.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your courage. And thank you for sharing your message.
Thank you so much.
Sarah Cox with us. We'll take a break.